still buy albums and refuse to use any streaming service like Spotify.
Hey man, that's absolutely fantastic that you want to support things and do things that way. You know what's also cool? The Amish are absolutely crushing it in the horse and buggy market. Hey everybody, how's it going? It's time for another episode of SMG Viewers Comments. This is episode number 321. We've got a very special episode today because a couple days ago I released that video called 13 Reasons Why Making a Full-Length Album is a really, really bad idea. And we got a lot of comments, a lot of positive comments, a lot of negative comments, but I thought we should do a dedicated video to this, or at least mostly dedicated to this, because I think it's very important that guys understand where the music business is headed. And if you want to make a career out of making music, a bit of a reality check might be a great idea. Here we go.
Pro tip, you can record singles, then put them all on a compilation album later on. Unless you re-record everything, it likely won't sound consistent, but as long as the levels are matched, I don't think there's a big problem. Electronic musicians usually vary their sounds, and they usually won't be criticized for this exact reason.
Laszlo, that's an amazing observation. That's great. You know, if your band lasts long enough to do a whole series of singles, yeah, there's absolutely no reason why you can't drop them on a disc for those diehards that want to buy your physical media. That's an absolutely amazing suggestion. I think that's really great. Actually, I just did a little bit of homework before I started rolling this, and you can get like 100 CDs printed for like $200 US, and that gets you like a little folder to put them in and that kind of thing. You can give them out at shows or sell them or whatever have you. That's pretty economical. The price of printing CDs has definitely gone down considerably over the years. That being said, I've had my minivan since 2016, and I think I've played exactly one CD in it since I bought it. So there is that as well. You know, the digital media thing is definitely the way to go, and dropping something on Google Play or Spotify or Amazon Music, whatever, iTunes, isn't really that tough. I've definitely done more than a few sponsorships with DistroKid over the years, and it's still a service I recommend, even though they are not paying me to make this video. But as for level matching, that is what mastering is for. What you can do is maybe take your mixed songs that haven't already been quote unquote mastered, and then you can go hit up my buddy Phil Demetrio at Lacquered Channel in Toronto, or talk to Mallory Applebaum down in Los Angeles and get those guys to master your disc. So that way you get a consistent sonic palette from song to song to song, at least in terms of a level and frequency balance. Obviously the songs are going to sound different because you're recording at different times, and you know what, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think the whole cookie cutter approach to doing an album is kind of fucking boring, where it's the exact same guitar sound every song throughout the entire record. You can put on Judas Priest's Stained Class. They actually did a whole bunch of songs and then went into the studio after the main session and did a cover of Better By You, Better Than Me in a different studio with a different producer, just to kind of add a little bit more to the record. And it sounds a little bit different, but it fits in the overall picture. And honestly, unless you read the liner notes, you wouldn't know that it was actually recorded by somebody else. So there is that as well. Don't be afraid to do that. Like I said, I think that's absolutely fantastic advice, and I definitely recommend going that route, especially if your band's popular enough to warrant putting out a full length.
Also, if anyone wants proof of why to not release an album, click on just about any album on Spotify and look at the plays for each track. It's always about 80% on 2 songs and the sweet fuck all on the rest, because the algorithm doesn't place all the songs off the album onto playlists, just the banger that people listen to over and over again. If you release them one at a time, a far greater change they will get some streaming traction when each song comes out.
Again, you guys are just killing it with the observations. I didn't even think about that. I think that's a great point, that people are only going to listen to 1 or 2 songs off your record. Unfortunately, that's where we're at these days. Of course, you're going to have the diehards that are going to want the printed media. I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just saying that is a very, very small chunk of people these days. The bulk of media is being consumed on streaming services, so you have to work within the parameters of how the music business exists now, not how it did 20 years ago. And unfortunately, we are all slaves to the algorithm, myself included. I used to like making 5-minute videos when I first started this show because I really wanted to get to the fucking point and just put as much information as I possibly could in the shortest amount of time. And then YouTube's like, well, we want longer videos. So, it took me a couple years to get my head around that. Now, if you guys notice, I went from like making 5 and 6 minute tutorials to doing, 20-minute rants that are going a lot more in depth than they used to. Again, you've just got to work within the parameters out there and what the system wants. It sucks, but that's what it is.
This is excellent advice for musicians, but how will the producers, engineers survive if bands are discouraged from longer projects in the studio?
They won't. That's just how it's gonna happen. I mean, I thought about this over the last couple days, actually, and the point I was trying to get across in the initial video was music is being consumed in a different way. Well, I also have to acknowledge the fact that music is being created in a different way as well, especially over the last year with lockdowns and social distancing and all that. More and more music is being created on a desktop, not in a band situation, and even I've got to pivot and deal with that whole thing. I did a poll there a few weeks back, and like 60% of you guys who are watching this show just want to record themselves. You're not into recording bands. So, okay, I'm going to make content for that audience. And I really do appreciate everybody who jumps in on the polls and leaves comments and all that kind of stuff, because I try and read every single one of them. And that's been incredibly insightful in letting me know what you guys really want. Ultimately, though, this whole show hasn't been about preserving my home studio business. It never has been. When I did How to Get Your Band Ready for the Studio back in 2014, a lot of other guys on the Andy Sneap forum were fucking pissed off at me for releasing that video. Oh, dude, you're going to ruin your business. You're going to ruin your business. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. What I'm doing needs to be fucking said, because musicians need to hear this shit. And unfortunately, the reality of that situation is many people out there don't want to be told what they need to hear. They just want to be told comforting lies.
Watching this while mixing our debut album.
Oh, right on. It's the guys from Bloodywood. Dudes, thank you so much for writing in. Now, if you didn't watch my entire video, actually what Bloodywood is doing was pretty much the roadmap for what I was saying. These guys put out a single. First, they did a couple of music videos and got this following. I mean, we checked out the video for Ari on Merciless Metal Mix Reviews there a couple years ago, and we were just absolutely blown away. It was fantastic. And their video has 5 million views. That's real traction. That shows that what they were doing works. So that's like the perfect way for an unknown band to get some notoriety. I don't know if you guys are putting something out on a label or not, but if you're doing an album, that's fantastic, because you have an audience who are going to buy that record and consume that music. My whole point being for that video, if in case anybody fucking missed it, was if you're unknown, there is no point in doing an album, because nobody's going to give a fuck. The fact that Bloodywood's doing an album is great. I might even buy it because I was really blown away by that single. Now I'm interested in what they can do artistically.
Your audience listen with their eyes. Pick a song that you can make an outstanding video for. Record the song, make the video. Remember, even when you perform live, audiences go to see a band. You need to impress them visually to get them to listen to your music. In 40 years, I've mixed some amazing nobodies and worked for a very few average successful showmen. Take Kiss, for example. No matter what you say about them and who doesn't, it was the visuals of the band that got people to notice them. The Who were just another band until Pete Townsend started smashing guitars and Keith Moon started destroying his drum kits. Then they became one of the biggest bands in the world. It was Mick Jagger being a showman that got the Rolling Stones noticed. Why should anyone listen to your music over the 4,397,683 other songs that were released today? Don't compete, be outstanding.
Victor, thank you so much. That's some of the best advice I've ever seen given on this show. Dude, you absolutely hit the nail right on the fucking head. All right, coming up next, we've got the Butthurt of the Week. Just want to break in here for a second to let you guys know Scott Elliot, creator of Guitar Tone Mastery, has a new lesson that's dropping today. It's called Mixing Your First Metal Song. He takes you through his whole process and shows you how to set up a mix and how to arrange everything and how to approach the whole mixing process. This is a beginner and intermediate course. So if you're just getting into this and you're kind of wondering, how the hell do I go about doing this? Why should I do things a certain way? This course was made with you in mind. Definitely recommend checking it out. I can't say enough good things about Scott's teaching method, because he not only teaches the how, he teaches the why. And he did that with Guitar Tone Mastery. That's the only course I've gone through twice, because there's so many great tidbits in there. There's so much information jammed in there. It was definitely worth a second viewing. Now, this course was done for Reaper, and you can download the whole Reaper project and see how he puts it all together and whatnot. But he's also got setups included for Logic and Cubase and a bunch of other DAWs as well. Definitely recommend taking a look at it. Now, I wrote this down so I wouldn't screw this up because this does get a little complex. Drummers, please try and pay attention here. Okay, you can get his course for $77 as an introductory price for the next 11 days, but we've also got some combo deals in case you guys want to get a couple more things. You can get Mixing Your First Metal Song along with Mixing Extreme Metal for $147. And you can get all 4 of his courses, those 2 plus Metal Drum Programming Mastery and Guitar Tone Mastery for a combined price of $297. Once again, that sale is only going to last 11 days. I'd highly, highly, highly recommend jumping on this deal while it lasts. Tomorrow, I'm going to have a 20-minute interview video with Scott, and we kind of outline what the course does, go into a few specifics, and show a few tidbits of the course as well so you can really get your head around it. But once again, follow the link in the description below because the deal's not going to last. Now it's time for the Butthurt of the Week.
This is for sure your worst video yet. They just keep getting worse. Dude, if you can't understand why local bands record albums, then it's time to hang this channel up. A $4,000 album of 12 songs would cost $333 a song. The average band has 5 members, and that works out to $66 per member per song. It ain't shit. Many bands give shit their music, their art, their craft to spend $66 to record a single song and record an album's worth of songs. What you're doing here is discouraging people from even trying and even insulting the bands that you haven't even heard of yet. Bands aren't always filled with idiots that think their $66 investment times 12 is going to make them in the millions. They love their songs and they want to share it with whatever level of fan base they have at the time. It's really that simple. Also, it's mostly the DIY crew that end up sounding like clones of other bands, not the guys that invest in themselves and record at their decent local studios.
Whew. Okay, let's do a little math here, shall we? $4,000 for 12 songs. Well, for that kind of price, I'm going to take a wild guess that it might not turn out all that well. I certainly wouldn't do a 12-song album for $4,000. What are you, out of your fucking mind? What fucking studio is going to charge that rate? In my experience, most bands are 4 members, not 5. And also, if you do have a 5-member band, I'm going to take a wild guess that 1 or 2 of the guys in that band don't have fucking jobs or any money for that matter. Dude, I've been ranting and raving on this show since 2012 or something like that, how bass players are too cheap to change their own strings, to buy new strings. What makes you think they have money to pay for an album production? Seriously, I've had guys try and pay me in Canadian Tire gift cards. I'm not making this up. This really fucking happened. Musicians are the most cheap bastards on earth. Yeah, only $66 a song. No, not really. Probably more like $100 per song, per member, times however many songs you want to do. A 12-song album? Are you fucking insane? It doesn't need to be that long. I remember when albums were 8, maybe 9 songs, and that was plenty. Always leave them wanting more. You know, you put on Megadeth Peace Sells, that's maybe 43 minutes, something like that. It was fucking dense, though. It was great, and it leaves the listener wanting more. You know, but if you want to do the self-indulgent artistic thing, by all means, that's absolutely fine as long as you have no expectations of selling enough copies to break even. As long as you're fine with losing money, there's nothing wrong with that. Just acknowledge that fact and don't be disappointed when you have a closet full of fucking CDs or whatever the hell you're printing your disc onto and you can't get rid of them. Once again, the video was about the business end of things because not a lot of people really consider that because they're too concerned with following their artistic vision.
Your views on releasing an album are fully focused on the economic side of it. If money isn't the focus, there are other things. Getting people to talk about your work more helps getting an audience. I've noticed our local underground music reviewers don't usually review singles. I am under the impression that bands who actually release something get a bit more respect. 2, having something physical for concert attendees to get you musically, not just t-shirts. If someone says, I want to hear more, giving them a CD or a thumb drive with the band's logo on it is cooler than navigating them to YouTube. 3, experience and fun. 4, artistic expression. If playing in your band is a hobby and not expected to be a full-time career, then terrible business decision isn't really an argument. All sorts of people spend a lot of money on their hobbies all the time. I've been playing music for 15 plus years and I've spent plenty on gear. I also made some money from playing shows and weddings, but I don't think I've ever earned back what I spent yet. I regret nothing. I'm doing it because I love doing it and I've loved it since I was a teenager. For the most part, I don't play to earn, I earn to play. It's kind of like saying, don't buy the kebab if you don't want to make money from it, but I love kebabs.
Wow, apparently the subtle metaphor I was trying to get across wasn't really too easy for you to absorb. In case you miss it, can I get a replay, please? What is likely is that you'll lose money on your production and won't even come close to breaking even. Ask yourself this. is being able to utter the phrase, "My band recorded an album," really worth losing thousands of dollars over? Just how badly do you need your ego stroked? In case you missed the fucking point, a lot of bands out there are trying to go for it and make a career out of this, so I was trying to give them some helpful fucking advice as to where to pool their resources for maximum results. If you want to invest your money in something that's not going to make any money back, be my guest. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with being a little bit smarter about how the music business works.
Dave can sing, dude. Who do you want to head a thrash band? Ariana Grande? Mustaine is the sound of thrash.
Hello, me. Meet the real me.
Remember when music had something to do with art, referring to the musicians, not the industry?
Yeah, that would be nice. It just seems like everybody's trying to out-heavy the next band, and that's really going nowhere fast. I think I'd like to see musicians try writing some really amazing songs once again, and this all comes back to the single thing. Find a good song and refine, and make it the best you possibly fucking can.
Hey Glenn, do you believe that album artwork helps with what to expect on an album? I mostly don't judge a book by its cover, but there have been plenty of great albums with bad artwork or crappy albums with good artwork.
It's no secret. We are a visual species. Of course, a great piece of artwork on your album cover is going to help get people's attention. That might at least encourage them to pick it up and go, oh, what's this all about? And crappy art usually isn't going to help you sell your product. It really comes down to the whole visual feedback thing. And yes, we are visual creatures. So yes, put your best foot forward if you are going to press a disc, and put the best artwork you possibly can on that disc.
But maybe I like to make an album.
If that's what makes you happy, I have no problem with that whatsoever. Personally, I don't like losing money.
Fuck you, Glenn. How long can you mix down music until you hit a wall and just can't mix anymore that day? Hoping all is well and hope to see you at NAMM again soon.
It really depends. I mean, I'll go as long as I can, and if I get tired, I'll go take a nap. I usually find, a little bit of downtime, maybe an hour or two, and then coming back in the evening works out great. I actually did that when I was at Chrysler all the time, and that's how I survived, was especially day shift, because I could never get enough fucking sleep. Get up at 6 a.m., go to work for 7, work till 3 in the afternoon, come home, crash out for a couple hours, and then work from 7 to 11 every night, that kind of thing. Maybe sometimes midnight, maybe sometimes 1, 2 in the morning, that kind of thing. But if I didn't have that nap, I'd be absolutely fucking useless in the evenings. So yeah, even if you want a cat nap, take 20 minutes and do that. That can just kind of help reset the brain. I'll find if you hit a wall, go do something else for a little bit. It's very hard to tear yourself away from the desk. I certainly have the hardest time ever doing that if I'm into something. Just no, I can do it. But then you realize you're just getting diminishing returns and all that kind of stuff. A little break goes a very, very long way.
Glenn, any update on the Focusrite interface you are using? How does it compare to the RME UFX Plus? I'm finally making the move from my legacy Motu Apogee Rosetta setup. It looks like feature-wise the RME is in front runner, but I am curious on your thoughts on each interface, specifically conversation quality, interface options, and overall thoughts. Thanks, Glenn. I truly appreciate your willingness to support engineers with your gear reviews.
Well, at least somebody does. For all you guys who don't know, I've been running the Focusrite Red 16 line back there for the last month or two, and it's absolutely fantastic. The conversion is some of the best I've heard. It might sound a little bit better than my UFX Plus, but I mean, we're talking, real minute differences at this place. The routing, it took me a minute to get my head around it, but it's actually more capable in routing than even Total Mix is, which kind of shocked me. It's really easy to set up custom headphone mixes or what's going where and send multiple outputs to the same thing. It's really, really great. And it's got the Dante interface as well, so I am going to put the Neve out into the drum room over the next couple weeks, and I'm going to have Cam Flory down here in a couple weeks, and we're going to try recording drums over Dante and see how that goes. So that's pretty freaking cool as well. That'd be great if I could just free up a couple of slots in my desk here and have the mic preamps out in the drum room. I think that'd be really cool, because more slots to put stuff in here that I'm actually going to need and use and want to fucking work with is great. So I won't have to reach over and move stuff around and that kind of stuff. So I think that is absolutely great, because you can control the Neve remotely. And mic pre's, in my case anyway, especially when it comes to recording drums or something, are just basically set and forget. Set your gain, leave enough headroom, you're good. So there's no need for them to stay on the desk like that.
This was such a cool experiment to see you do. I kept my eyes closed while listening, and as hard as I tried, I couldn't differentiate them. Haha. Good to know the wood isn't a big a factor in guitar sound as I thought was for so long.
Well, thank you for not denying reality. I mean, I've had a lot of people say, oh, you're wrong. And it's No, the science is sound. The test is sound. I mean, you might have seen some bullshit tests in your day where other factors were at play other than just changing the wood out. But in a solid body electric, when you just change the wood and everything else is the same, guess what? It makes about maybe that big a difference on a clean channel. And in the context of a mix, especially a metal mix, it is completely indecipherable. So don't get worried about that. I'll tell you this though, I've been driving around from Toronto to Guelph to Barrie to all over the place over the last couple weeks, and I'm going to be doing a video on stuff that actually makes a gigantic difference in your guitar sound, and that is guitar speakers. I'm going to be doing a follow-up on that, I don't know, next week or the week after, but that's definitely a video you're going to want to watch. It's not the tubes, it's not your guitar wood, it's the fucking speaker that makes the biggest difference, and it's going to have the single biggest deciding factor on how your guitar sounds, especially recorded.
Morning! Making my 3rd album now. I have 0 expectations, LOL.
As long as you have no expectations and you know you're not gonna make any money, hey, fucking go for it. I wish you the best of luck. Hopefully the 6 people that listen to all those songs are really gonna appreciate them. All right, everybody, that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. Don't forget to check out Scott's new lesson, mixing your first metal song. If you're a Reaper user, if you're a Logic user, you're a Cubase user, this is something you're definitely going to want to take a look at. Links in the description below. Don't forget to check out tomorrow's video where I sit down with Scott and he goes over the nitty-gritty of what this thing is all about. But if you're a beginner looking to get help and get your mixes sounding better, you definitely want to check this out. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, I will leave you with this. It gives me a migraine headache, thinking down to your level.